Hey, welcome to SkillCast. This is John Capel, author of Skill Stigma, and today I have a really fast friend, I want to call you, Mike Wiant here, who has many, many roles that are advocating for the skilled trades. I'm very excited for him to tell his story. In fact, you have too many roles that for me to describe. Why don't you start by telling us like what it is that you do?
I've got a few roles. One is I work for a iconic performance vehicle company called Shelby American, which most people are familiar with. Carroll Shelby was the founder, race car driver back in the day.
It was also a tremendous movie. I
Yes,
watched it. Honestly, I wasn't anticipating it was gonna be such a great movie,
a lot of people say that.
but it was. It was
Yeah,
riveting.
incredible movie. It
Yeah.
educates you on both Shelby American as well as Ford Motor Company. And I just happened to and I'll get into this a little bit later. I happen to fall into this job role, into this company, and so I'm a regional manager. I cover 5 states with another individual in sales, and so I wholesale Shelby Mustangs and trucks to select Ford dealerships in a 5-state region. And then as of last year, I took a new job role with ASE, Automotive Service Excellence, which is the accreditation in the automotive industry for technicians. I'm the Ohio field manager. And so my main role there is to help connect industry with education. It's an unbelievable role what ASE is doing. I'm also an event organizer of an automotive event called Auto Blast, which is the first one is going to happen in September in Medina. That's a whole thing. I'm just a huge advocate now, not just for automotive, but just for trades. Like, it's fun to have all these roles and see where it's taken me.
The stumbling into skilled trades is not an uncommon story. Like this, because I mean, I know that's mine. I met a lot of people that was the case. I think it has something close to do probably with a concerted effort to move people into college. And so like your focus
Yeah.
is like in this direction of career path, career success, career potential. You're not really paying attention to I mean, like, listen, you're talking about the ASE. I grew up with a magnet on my fridge at home because my dad was a wrench, a mechanic for many, many years, right? And he was ASE certified and was doing a lot of education that way. And like I was close to it, but like he was pushed to college. I was pushed to college
Same here.
from him,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
In
same
that
here.
way. So, okay, that lots of different things, and, like, what that's grown in you is just, like, a general love and desire to expose the way that people are living their lives in the skilled trades
Correct.
and try to get more people into it.
Yeah, yeah. I was pushing to college, and I kinda can see where this all comes from. Or like I lived what people are viewing as the way to go, our culture does, and I kind of fell into it, and I wasn't a good, uh, test taker. I didn't like school in general. To see where I am today, like, professionally is a true miracle because I think a lot of people didn't think that I would even make it out of school. I barely got through high school. I went to college because, and that's a whole nother story. I'm probably one of the only people that that accidentally got let into college. Like, they made a mistake because of my family name was well known there.
Wait, we have to slow this back, dude. Expose the miracle then, all right? So, like, if it's a miracle that you're in the skilled trades, let's pause on some of these moments and really talk to me about high school. What was you say you're a bad test taker, but what was
I
high
just
school
didn't like
like?
school, like
Yeah.
sitting in the classroom. And now I read books on how there's some people that are trying to bring up the idea of changing the way that we do school and the whole GPA and test and like,
Yeah.
and I mean, really, like, all because of a piece of paper with 20 questions if I can't memorize. So even if you ask my wife today, my kids, my memory isn't all that like good with certain things.
Yeah.
So what does that do to a kid in school, in the traditional school settings? Brutal. When I talk about that, I remember myself sitting and stressing in class and thinking that I was dumb. Probably the average grade I would get would be a C. And so occasional B, maybe once in a while an A. This is in high school, elementary and high school. And then, D's were common for me. And so that means, what does it do to your ego and your
Absolutely.
mindsets? It was brutal.
Yeah.
I probably would have had to go to summer school if it wasn't for a history teacher that I know she just kind of pushed me through and gave me the grade. She liked me and and I liked her, enjoyed her, and I know she just helped me get through. So I barely got through high school, and then I applied to college, and I
And
applied
why did you though? So like,
college
yeah, like so you're
because my
ending high school, like, uh, there's options on the table. What's making you consider that you're gonna
well,
apply
it's
to college?
the horrible the stigma on the trades where that wasn't the way to go. It was negative. It was that's what you do if you can't go to college. And both of my parents went to college. Most of my family did. Most of my friends went to a private high school. So then then it's even at another level. So they're all going to really good schools, and I don't even have the grades. And then I apply to school, and I actually get in, which was a shock because I shouldn't have. I just kind of followed what other people were doing and not knowing what I wanted to do. Kind of knew maybe sales, like, because I kind of liked that whole sales. I worked at restaurants, and I always knew I had good people skills. Like, so my soft skills were like there, but they can't teach you that in school. That's never taught. And it took me 3.5 years to fail out of college. And when you fail out of college, they send your parents a letter that says basically your son or daughter needs to take some time off, a minimum of 1 year, and if you wanna come back, and you can re-interview with the dean. And it was devastating. I didn't wanna tell anybody that I failed out. It was embarrassing, and
If in high school, school isn't the greatest, and what that's doing is making you feel dumb. You're not dumb, but it's making you feel dumb. What a moment like that does maybe is like confirms what you believe about yourself, that
yeah.
maybe I am dumb.
Yeah. Oh, I did. I thought I had a learning disability or some sort of learning issue until I finally matured and applied myself, and that was probably at like 25 or so. In hindsight now, if failing out of college was probably one of the best things ever that happened to me in life. Yet at the moment, it was horrible. I am the type of person that will overcome almost anything I can, and it's like, how do you overcome failing out? Do I just go wait tables for a year and then reapply to the college? Like, what is that gonna do for me? How do I turn a complete negative into a positive? Within about 2 hours of getting that phone call from my mom, I remember going, "Oh my gosh, how do I do this? How do I do this? I gotta look at this as an opportunity." And one of the reasons that had hurt me in college was failing or getting, I think I got a D as well in Spanish. And Spanish was so hard, and it is for some languages are so hard for some people, especially me who can't really remember things. I remember saying, "Oh my gosh, I know exactly what I need to do. I need to leave this country, put myself in a third world where they only speak Spanish. I'm gonna overcome this. I'm gonna learn Spanish. I'm gonna learn a culture. I'm gonna mature. I'm gonna grow up. They gotta let me back in." Called my mom, told her, she thought I was nuts. My whole family thought I was nuts. And when you know it took me like 6 months to finally save up $300 and buy a one-way ticket to Argentina.
I know a little bit about that preparation for Argentina. What did you do to save up the money and make connections?
So I went out to Santa Barbara, California. It's really a kind of like a vacation spot, and I happened to be living there, coming from Buffalo, New York, went to school in Ohio at Kent State, and all of a sudden I'm in Santa Barbara. My mom calls me, and I said, "Hey, maybe I'll stay out here for a few more months." So I started working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and people would come in every day to rent a car, and I'd stand behind the computer, and I had time to talk with them, and so I would quickly tell the story of where I was from, what I'm doing there, and where I'm going. And I would tell everybody, "I'm going to Argentina," and I would ask, "Do you know anybody in Argentina?" And over a 6-month period, about 10 people had a connection in Argentina, and that's after hundreds of people, hundreds of people.
Amazing.
And, so I wrote and I would say, "Hey, would you reach out to your friend or family or whoever it was member and let them know that I might be calling them when I'm down there? Could you give me their phone number?" And they would. This is all pre-email, pre-cell phone days, early '90s. And, so I had a list of 10 people and their names and numbers, and I laminated it. I only had $360 in cash, no credit card, a backpack, and I said, "Hey, worst case scenario, I'm gonna sleep on a park bench in a good neighborhood." That was my worst case, and it never ended up being that bad. It was an incredible year. My goal was a year. I finished the year. It was unbelievable what I experienced, how to survive, how to live, what it's like not being able to speak their language and then finally growing into their language and their culture. And
You really helped me to think about this when you were telling me your story a little bit. I'm happy you're sharing it now. And, the reason that we're sitting here trying to promote the skilled trades, we talk about high school a lot and what happened and why did you choose where you chose next. In that moment, we could say it's the system, it's the culture, or whatever, but you really are trying to set yourself for whatever is next and really on a solid path. And everything else agrees with like you should figure that out now. The crazy part about it is like you don't know what you want to do for the rest of your life. There's just like and that's a very common thing to be talking about. Everybody kind of knows it. But one of the things that from your story that helped me understand to a new level, the benefit of you having $300 to your name was I had to struggle and learn about who I was. That is invaluable, that moment to understand what are, a little bit more about yourself. Because certainly you're going there to learn something like Spanish, I mean, to go back and pass. But there was something much, much deeper about finding yourself. And you don't find yourself just because you took a year off in between high school and college and you're just like pissing it away, doing whatever you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You really went through something
A
tremendous.
trial is unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
Because it stretches you and it pulls you and you learn about yourself. But I will say though, I wasn't, I don't want to give the opinion that I was down on myself or negative, because I always had a confidence in me. I know my talents and I know my skills, and I know I have a very unique personality and I know how to use it. To me, to get to where I am today, personally and professionally, I've learned how to use those talents and I know what people like, but also I'm just very genuine. And so I don't have that because I'm not a skilled trade guy, but I'm a soft skilled guy. And I know how to use that. And there's power in that. I was always upbeat, very positive.
Well, your time at Enterprise shows that. Like, I think I would never have done that to be like, "Hey, here's your car." That's me. I'm just gonna do the job, Like, here's your car. I hope it's good and clean.
I knew what I wanted. I knew what I was looking for. And
you have a list that's laminated for you.
I still have it. I look at it occasionally because that list actually tells me something of just like networking and how important that is. And even in the skilled trades, like when I'm sitting in front of an automotive technician and does he want to wrench in that dealership the rest of his life? Or does he want to work on a high performance vehicle that's cool, that he maybe dreams, but doesn't even think it's possible? Oh, it is possible. If you set your mind on it and start networking your way there. I introduced myself to where I am today.
Yeah.
Just being aggressive and I don't know, just keep it open-minded, man. And
yes. Even just open to the idea is part of it. Yeah. So, okay, you end your year.
End my year and I come back and the dream finally happened where I'm sitting in front of the dean at Kent State. And I'm sitting in front of him. He's like, all right, so what have you done? What'd you do this past, it was actually a year and a half because I was 6 months in Santa Barbara and then a year in Argentina. I'm like, I explained everything. And he's like, wow, okay, that's great. Do you want to test out of Spanish? And I'm like, no, I need those 4 credit hour A's. And he's like, oh yeah, speaking of that, you have so many credit hours, yet a low GPA. In order to graduate, you need a minimum of like a 2.5. Maybe we can put you in here for 2 semesters minimum. You're gonna have to take like a lot of credit hours and you're gonna need to basically get all A's. And he's like, and you didn't before. Is that possible? And I'm like, it is possible because I kind of have to do it. And so for the first time in my life, I focused and I studied and I applied myself. And I remember to this day, it was a sociology class. I did a paper. I put a lot of work into this paper and I got it back and I looked at it and it said A-. And for the first time in my life, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not dumb. I can do this. And that just gave me confidence. And then I made the dean's list, got my GPA up, and I got my degree. I got that piece of paper, right? which that's what I was fighting for, and that's what put me in a lot of debt was that piece of paper. It was great. I'm glad I got the degree.
Yes.
It probably got me a job or two, but a lot of my life has been entrepreneurial and kinda on my own and, like, doing things, and so really didn't need it, but it gave me some confidence probably that I got a college degree, you know? And that was 30 something years ago, and now it's like, whatever the percentage is, it's grown the price of college and stuff, and so that's a whole nother story, but
So track us from that moment then. We wanna get to, how you're connected and connecting people to the skilled trades, but it wasn't like a straight line. I think there was a period of time you ran a apparel business?
yeah, I had an apparel company, but I started an apparel company with a best friend of mine in just a little bit south of or outside of Los Angeles. That was incredible. We ran it for 5 years, and this is how I sum it up. I got an MBA in reality of how to run a business and what it's like, the highs and the lows and the physical pain of like just stress and what that does to you. It was unbelievable. I learned so much. Moved back to Ohio, got into real estate, kind of which is you're working for yourself. I did very well in real estate. I really enjoyed it. Did well over about a 7 year period, and like the market kind of fell out in 2008. I was married for a couple years, and it was my father-in-law who worked in the automotive industry. He actually did a lot of time with General Motors, OnStar, had many roles in that industry, and he's the one who kind of said, "Hey, I think I can get you an interview with Ford, and you're going to be in sales." And that's what kind of caught my attention. Okay, well, really sales? Okay, no, I think you're going to like it. They're going to give you a demo, which is kind of a free car to drive. That's what kind of really caught my attention. And I'm like, cars? I'm not a car guy. And he's like, no, I think you'll like it. And that's where I fell in when I started working for Ford. Um,
What was the car?
well, the first car was a Ford Escape, but then my second or third car was an F-150, and that's what I think I've driven for the last, I don't know, 12 years is numerous F-150s, which is the number one truck in the world, right? And now I drive a Shelby truck, which is incredible. Yeah, it's nice. So that's how I kind of fell into automotive, and I learned about automotive, and I learned the dealership business and how there's really three parts to a dealership. There's the front end, the sales department, there's parts, and there's service. And the service was kind of intimidating to me
Why?
because it was not my skill. I kind of had the stigma that they're kind of rough and they're kind of grumpy. And I'm a clean.
Some of them are, though.
And they are. Some are rough and grumpy, but there's some. Yeah. I'm the clean cut sales guy.
Yeah, only
But-
drinking cortados, by
Yeah,
the way. You
cortados.
won't take my coffee?
I don't drink plain coffee. After Europe, I got ruined with coffee. There's just a respect that I had for a tech.
Yeah.
And I got to know some of the techs, and I think they could see that I respected them. And then also I looked up to them because I can't fix little things. I learned and got to know some technicians. A dealership group recruited me away, and they offered me a position, and they said, here's your role. We want you to go find technicians. And I remember going, why? And they're like, because they're in huge demand.
Yeah. And when is this?
This would be 2017, 2018, they started talking to me. And I'm like, techs? I'm not a tech. I'm not a techie guy. And they're like, we want your excitement, your energy. Figure it out. Well, how do you want me to do it? They're like, and their words were, go write the playbook. Figure it out. And that was where it was like a challenge. So then I pretty quickly discovered, wow, not just in the automotive segment, but any skilled trade is in huge demand. And it makes sense because for 30 or 40 years, we've been pushing our youth into college and don't go to the trade, don't get your hands dirty. And so all of them now are struggling, but there's huge opportunity in there, and there's really good money that people aren't aware of, that there's the money.
So, like, they tasked you with this thing, but if you're going to bring the excitement, you have to, and be real about it, you actually have to see the vision yourself. So what was that learning experience like?
So it was kind of twofold. It was two different angles. Like, how do you go find techs? It's not really going to find them. It's let's get them at high school right before they get out, either going to a trade school or college or right into the industry. And so I started calling high school automotive instructors and meeting with them and building relationships. Now, this is where all the soft skills come in. So now I'm building relationships. that are genuine, that I really like meeting these guys or girls and learning about them and learning about their students and discovering how they're seeing the industry and that there is a huge demand. They need help getting more students into the program. I hate saying the cliche, the light bulb went off, but it was like, oh my gosh, this is such a niche little area that no one else is really going into because who's going to pay someone to go do this really? So this dealership group was really ahead of their time. And then I realized at the same time that my personality, my soft skills fit right into this
Yeah.
better than anything or anyone that I've ever met. When I go into a high school or an elementary school, and it's usually at the high school, it's in their automotive or collision program. When I step in, with my personality, which is my excitement, my energy, and my respect for them, it sinks. And the kids feel it, and I feel it, and the instructors feel it. And I'm in there giving them hope. I'm selling hope is what I'm saying. I'm great at sales. Like I generally, naturally, I like selling. I've never sold anything I don't like. I'm not typically, the bad sales guy you look at because I generally, if I'm selling something I really believe in, then it's just my energy and excitement that sell it. And so when I roll into a high school with an incredible vehicle, and that's usually what I do. I try to find incredible vehicles. I drive an incredible truck, a Shelby truck, but if I can find a Rivian or a Tesla or the Cybertruck or the Hummer, the new Hummer, just anything that's new with technology, and the garage door opens and the high school automotive kids are in there, their jaws drop. And then I go in with excitement and I just think I finally found the spot for me at the little niche that I really can help the industry grow and really just help kids.
That's wonderful. Tell us about a couple experiences that you feel like maybe like the light bulb kicked on for some of them, or like some of the things that you do. Like I know you do more than just bring your truck in.
Yeah, all kinds of little things. Last year, I did this drive a Shelby to school day. So I feel blessed and privileged. Like, why do I get to have this unique job role? I'm not even a gearhead. I work for the elite performance vehicle manufacturer, Shelby American, yet I'm not a gearhead. I'm not a race guy. I don't really care about it. But it's cool. And I love the technology. And I just love being around it, even though I can't really talk it. And so one day I looked out of my garage, I'm like, what a shame that a young kid who wants to get in the industry, that he can't have the experience I have and drive this truck. I'm like, what if I did drive a Shelby to school and I allowed a high school senior, and don't worry, I'm in the truck too. I just allowed a senior to take the truck for the day with me, and we drove to school and we drove around and we got ice cream and he picked up his girlfriend and we bonded and we hung out and it was just a good time. And I got him on the phone with the president of Shelby and got him on the phone with Carol Shelby's grandson, Aaron Shelby, who's been just so great to me and helping me with this. And I'm just trying to use my connections, right? I'm
Yeah.
connected. That's what I'm connected.
Yep.
I don't know a lot of people. And if I could help connect the youth and get them over that little hurdle and into the industry, that's fun. I love seeing new trades that I'm not even aware of. Like even yesterday, I went and picked up artificial turf. We put a new hardscape landscape in my backyard, and I need a little area for a swing that's artificial turf. I found this company, NEO Forever Lawn down in Stark County, and I roll in, and I'm like, wow! I'm like, they have all this like samples outside on the ground, and they like sport fields and like playgrounds, and they've done the Hall of Fame field. They do all these high school fields, but they do a lot of playgrounds. And what is this trade? And so I walk in the doors, and people probably are just blown away when I walk. I'm like, what's the trade here? And they're like, huh? And I'm like, what's the trade? And they're like, well, we're like outdoor carpet layers. We use some of the same tools. We're stretching kind of carpet, but it's artificial turf. And I'm like, oh, and I'm like, gotcha. And so like I learned about that, picked their brain for 10 minutes about it. And that was new here. I'm a 54-year-old guy. I just discovered this for the first time. Like, and if I don't know this, our youth and their parents don't know this, right? Or maybe they do. I had a dog groomer come to my house yesterday with the mobile van, and she showed up and she rings the doorbell. She takes my little dog we have, and an hour later she returns them. And I look at her and I'm like, so what do you do? She's like, I'm a mobile dog groomer. And I'm like, do you like it? She's like, I love it. I'm not sitting in a hole back in a, at a strip mall cubicle or whatever. And I can see people. And anyway, so
It's amazing.
just stuff like that. I'm always being introduced to new trades. And so I help try to promote them.
Well, you're constantly open to things, open to ideas and trying to connect with people, and it's really paid off for you. What is the connection to elementary? And how about
Look at this. It gets me excited because I think like, so I would say automotive for sure, and definitely for all trades. When any sort of like roundtable or discussion or phone call or email, it's always, hey, we need to start doing something. We need to start getting into the schools. But who's really doing it? Okay. And this is where we're getting some good discussion here. Who's really doing it? And who wants to do it? Who wants to go? How about this? Who wants to go into a high school and deal with high school students? It can be tough, okay? Who wants to go into a middle school? You have to like kids in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to know how to deal with them.
Yeah, it's intimidating because you immediately, like when you walk in a room, I immediately realize how uncool I really am, So like that's the same thing. Going to high school, you're like, oh, I've aged badly.
So you said that, okay? I've learned how to funnel that and use that to my benefit. Okay. So I go into a middle school, I'm right with them. So I'm a 54-year-old guy. I kind of look like I'm 30 and I dress like I'm 15. I've known that, and the kids can feel it. I can come in and sync pretty quick, even elementary. But elementary, it's less of the cool factor. It's more of knowing how to talk to them. I brought my truck to a career day at an elementary school, and oh my gosh, and you can see it on my Instagram. There's just 20 or 30 young little kids all over the truck inside. We're having a blast. But what blows me away is when a young girl looked at my tires and she said, "Are these 35-inch wheels?" And our tires, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, how did you even know the size? Because they are 35s. They're off-road tires." And one little boy of 4th grade said, "That's not stock suspension." And I'm like, well, does this dad, like, so I'm like, why? Wow, shame on us that we don't think these kids have any clue, or we can't plant seeds. Like, this is where everybody, like trades in general, it needs to happen at elementary school, and I happen to love it. And so that's why I get why when all these industries are talking about doing it and getting into it, I don't really see them out doing it. Okay. But I happen to absolutely love it. I can't wait to see the future of my job roles in elementary schools or middle schools. Now I get invited into middle schools to introduce the careers. And I'm not smarter than any of these guidance counselors or these career specialists. All I do is put sizzle on it, the cool factor, which is what's needed because it is cool.
Yes, there's not enough time that's causing kids or adults, who are like in transition career-wise to like envision themselves doing that kind of work, loving it, enjoying it, benefiting from it.
Who's behind these kids pushing them emotionally, mentally? It's not like, yes, get into that. Oh my gosh, we can, like, that's what I do. Like, I feel they can dominate. I walk into a service bay 2 days ago. I see a brand new Ford F-250, the interior completely torn apart, taken out, removed. All the seats, all the carpet. You have a wiring harness that will blow you away. How big this wiring harness is, all these connections, and the wires that are in there. And to me, I see this and I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody could actually take that apart and put it back together.
That's how I feel.
They're way smarter than me. And if I can get that opportunity to express that to that tech, that you're a genius, that, oh my gosh, like the opportunity you have in this business, and it's all technology. It's all tech. It's becoming less dirty.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
It's computers. Like, that stuff's the cool stuff, man. So,
well, part of what you're saying too, like you brought up the turf, you brought up the mobile dog thing. Like, one of the deficient factors is just talking about how many options there are And the other side of that coin is how much things have evolved, and what is the really real goal today? What is the task today to learn how to become a technician, for
Yeah.
example? And each age has had its own, pride in its work, because there's just something in the skilled trades that is so satisfying that when once it didn't work, or once it was humming and it shouldn't be humming, and the sound goes away, or the
Yeah.
engine
Yeah.
kicks on, right? Like, or the seat isn't, if it was me putting that seat back in, there's always going to be like a little bit of a rock on it now forever, because I'm not going to do it right. But somebody to do it flawlessly, there's very,
Even I, as a non-techie, non-trade person, understands that, because when my wife buys something and she says, "Here for the house," and she says, "Put it together." It's I get that. I like that challenge, because I gotta get a couple screwdrivers out, and I know it's not gonna be over my head, and I can do it, and then I know within an hour, there's the result. Our culture pushes kids into college, go get that degree, go get that job, and go sit in that office, and I've done it. In that office, it's not all that glorious. We put in an outside area with a pool and stuff in my house. I needed an electrician, and the electrician showed up at my house the other day, and he rings the doorbell, and shame on me. I had him already drawn out what he was gonna look like, and he opens the door, and he kinda looks semi-professional. And it hit me of, "Oh my gosh, look at this guy." And he was talking about the plumbing as well, and I go, "Wait a minute, I thought you were an electrician." He goes, "No, I do both." And I'm like, "Gosh, you're like, 30s or 40s or something, young?" And he's like, "Yeah, I used to work for this company, and now I work for myself." And he pulls up in this F-250. I mean, this thing had to be built out. It had a couple $100,000 truck with all these tools, and he just came out, man, and he was, like, focused, and he was professional, and he just banged the job out, and I'm watching and filming him around. He's thinking, "This guy thinks I'm nuts," and I'm just really blown away and impressed. Yet our culture looks at that and says, "Don't go do that. Go sit in the office."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like every day. So, do you know when I leave here? Well, A, I'm going to the farmer's market. I am.
He likes Painesville, man. That's what it is, dude.
I'm gonna walk around the Painesville Square, and then I pass 2 or 3 automotive places on the way up here,
Yeah, by Menor.
and I will pop in. Absolutely love it. Walking into a door, have no idea what I'm walking into, but because of my faith and just trust in God, and, like, lead me to somewhere that I can inspire today, that I can give some sort of good message, and usually it happens. And I pass cards out, and especially if it's an automotive place, and I walk in yesterday, I walked into Freightliner, big diesel. It almost intimidates me, and I'm not even a tech guy, right? But it's just big, right? And, like, tough. And you think of truck drivers, and you think it's not all bad or negative, but you see that, and so I pop in, and and it's this is me, right? Like, this is just me.
You're not quite smoking
So
Camel no
so
filters.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm not, I'm not professional in a way where, so I walk in, and I kinda usually get my way back into the service manager's area, and they look at me, and I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm just popping in. I'm in the I promote the automotive business. I'm well connected with, like, hundreds, if not thousands of students, and I actually have a job role with ASC, and my main thing is to help connect industry with education." In fact, yesterday at Freightliner, it was a Valley Auto Group, semi-Freightliner service center, and the guy goes, "We were just talking about this in a meeting. How can we get more people into the industry?" And I always hear that. "Oh, we were just talking about it in meeting." Well, where'd the talk go? Did you get anywhere? And I said, "Guess who your answer is?" Like, "This is my job role." And they're like, "What's it cost?" I'm like, "It's free. ASE pays it." And so the 20-minute conversation, that was awesome, right? Of, "Hey, this is what you guys can be doing. This is how I can help." And just trying to get them just excited about that there is opportunity for these kids, and we need to get into the schools. And I don't know. So my point is, like, I just pop into places randomly, and I discover some really, really cool places to work.
The desire is wild, man. Like, so I get it all the time. I got this morning in preparation for this. I opened up my email and somebody, we've been having a conversation back and forth from Kellogg's. They need boilers
Oh,
for,
boilers. Yeah, yeah,
to do
yeah.
that kind of stuff. And man, I've been talking with them for a little while here. And the bottom line is there's so many industries and all of those industries need people who can pipeline others into it. Now, those of us that are doing it, we see the hope that is there, like to use your word, right? The people who are having the meetings see the need for hands and minds on this equipment or skills or whatever it is, right? One of the inhibitors to bringing people in sometimes is like that brass tacks, like, hey, that sounds really good, but are you just going to use me? Like, is there money? What does it look
Money.
like? What, you know what I mean? Like,
Let's talk income.
let's do it.
Income. I just sat on with Sarah Auto Group down in Akron. They have 5 dealerships. Sat with the service director. This is, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. And I should have brought the paper, but he goes, here, I want you to actually see our pay plan for technicians. And they have a really good structured pay plan. I believe he said he had a high school automotive instructor helped him put it together. And you know exactly what you need to do to get the next pay bump.
Yeah.
And it was pretty quick within, I don't know, I'm going to say 2 to 3 years coming into the industry. His average technician was in that like $50,000 to $70,000. And that's kind of like average. So if you're motivated, ambitious, have some smarts, some talents, you could easily make more than that.
So if you Google stationary engineers, right, that's the top license for us. You're probably going to find jobs that are like, it depends the industry, but how the boilers are applied. But it's going to be somewhere between, let's say, $30 to $40 an hour for most places here in the Midwest. But like, I know like what $35 an hour means to me is easily over $100,000, which the numbers don't check out like that if you run a 40-hour a week. But there's so much extra opportunity that the thing I always like to connect, I didn't have that opportunity when working white collar. When I worked on a salary, you have to get the job done. It is job related and you get paid what you get paid. If you get it done quicker, great, have some flex time. But if they're asking me to be at work, I get paid to be at work. I get paid extra to be at work. And even though you're working for a company, there's a certain amount of autonomy to that, right? So if you're saying you're motivated, this is the average range. How does that look in the automotive industry? Not that like $50,000 to $70,000 is anything to shake your head at negatively,
Right.
but just because you brought it up that way, what does that look like?
So a technician will get paid by the job.
Yeah.
So if the first time he does the job, if it takes him 10 hours and the dealership or the manufacturer is going to pay, let's just say pay 10 hours and it takes him 10 hours, then great, right? Well, sometimes for the first time he does the job, it might take him, let's just say 15 hours. He's only getting paid for 10, but the dealership's going to cover that difference.
Yeah.
But then the second, third, and fourth time, if you're good and you learn and you figure out how to do it right and faster and more efficient, now all of a sudden that job that pays 10, you're getting done in 5 or 6 or whatever it is. And so you learn that as a technician. So that's really what makes the difference of a good technician is he learns to be efficient. Again, I don't want to say that's the only thing because I know there's other little things that'll help them get, make more and be more efficient. But that's in general how it works. And so you can work less but make more because and you're more efficient at more.
And where is it? I mean, every job has its restrictions. If you're a part of a company or part of a team, other people are helping you and hindering you, certainly. But the skilled trades, in my opinion, have a much more closer, like you're talking about this scale, like, okay, got to do this to make this, right? And like, if you get more efficient at it, okay, so that guides me to, take up an extra training, work extra hard, make sure that I'm fit and ready for work and there on time and like of a good mindset. And like all that is good, like career push. And it's a tremendous independence that can be gained from that, certainly.
Opportunity.
Opportunity.
There is nothing but opportunity.
What are some of the things that we haven't talked about that you just have to get out at this point out of your brain, if anything, a story, whatever?
every shop, and at least in the automotive, and I know like in some of these other trades, welding and plumbing, electrical, like everybody's hiring. They need people to do these jobs, and so my gosh, compared to if you want to say accounting, or let's use the job role like an accounting kind of accountant, and they have to go to school, they get out and they're fighting for the job, and there might be 10 people. Like there's more people applying for those, or in the trades, there's less, and so there's this opportunity. And then you add in all the new products and the new companies, and my gosh, automotive is changing at a blistering pace. I could probably name 10 automotive manufacturers that you've never even heard of that have vehicles on the road today. Everybody knows Tesla. They've been around for like 20-something years now, which is crazy. There's a bunch of new manufacturers, okay? So you've got all these new products and new technologies, and they all need people. And it's like, and I'm just naming one little area of automotive. That's what's exciting. And what's right now, in 2 years, that's going to change. And so there's just opportunity, and AI is not going to knock any of these out, like these job roles. So that's why I say opportunity, and they're cool, and they make really good money. And I think that this parents, educators need to know this. And yeah, you can go to school. I know some techs that have gone to college. There's great programs out there for trade schools, but opportunity.
I love it, dude. Right here in this podcast, our whole mission, and your mission too, it seems, is that you love exposing the good news about good jobs in unexpected places.
Yeah.
Is there any other kind of good news that you want to share about the automotive industry that will help inspire the upcoming generation that maybe you haven't mentioned yet?
It's dreams and having goals. And for any of the youth out there that kind of like, everybody as a kid, you dream, and you kind of paint that picture, and you probably don't really tell many people because you might be embarrassed. But like in automotive, I see a lot of kids that say racing or performance. Like, and they look at what I do and the company I work for, and they're like, oh my gosh, like if I could ever get there. And they can get there. They just got to like drive for it, and network and meet people. And it's shaking hands, which is hard in our time now, because we're such in this smartphone and like in social media where we can do it without actually seeing or touching somebody. But physically looking at someone in the eyes and shaking their hand and introducing yourself to every opportunity somebody has to meet someone new, that I think is the secret that a lot of youth don't know. And so if they could just get themselves out of their comfort zone and go to new places, walk into businesses, my gosh, for a youth to walk into a company, into a building, and introduce themselves to anybody in there, the manager would blow anybody away. And I've never really seen anybody do it, but I'm trying to encourage you, get out, walk into businesses on your own, and have some guts, and go in, and you'll impress anybody you meet.
It's like they're Argentina. Get out there and go.
It's like, that's exactly it. But I will say, don't do what I did in Argentina. It was crazy. It was nuts. I don't recommend people doing it just like that. Go with a program or like a structured format to go. But
Mike, I love your story, and I know you're very busy. I'm very thankful you spent some time to
this
share
was a
it here.
blessing. I love what you're doing. I loved reading your book, and like even me meeting you. Think about that. Okay, think about that. So I read the book, your book, okay? I read it, flipped it over, and then it said something about Ohio. And I go, oh, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Ohio. Let me reach out to them. And so, again, what I just said, I do like all the time. And where's it going to get me? I don't know. And now we're sitting here.
Well, and I don't know if you know this, but like when we met, we both drank cortados as well. But when we met, what ended up happening was just the day before, you were at my oldest son was in second grade at the time, and you were at his school with your truck. And so he was at home talking about it, and then like I didn't connect the dots until afterwards.
Oh my God.
He was like, yeah, there's this red truck out there, and like it was cool. I mean, I love that for my son, that work that you're doing.
So the school, one of the schools, I don't know if it was his school, they send me thank you cards that all the kids write. They are hilarious. Anyways, I don't forget
the 35-inch stuff.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So cool.
All right, we'll keep doing it, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time. All right.
Thanks for watching our video. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to like and subscribe us on our channels. And if you want to continue the conversation to find out if there's a skilled trade that's built for your future career, be sure to pick up our book called Skill Stigma at skillstigma.com.